Hey guys, so I just wanted to do a little bit of a let's talk through this kind of garden style talk. And the main thing I want to focus on is your purpose for gardening. Why exactly are you creating a garden? Whether you want it to maybe produce cut flowers for like a farmer's market, or for your own personal use, or vegetables for your family, or fresh herbs, whether you like cooking, or a trend that's going around on TikTok right now is growing your own cut flowers for your wedding. So whatever the reason, there's multitude of reasons that people garden. But I think an important part is sometimes we get a little too ambitious, especially during the beginning, the first little while of our gardening journey. At least for me personally, January, February rolls around. I'm tired of the cold. I just want to be out planting in the soil again. And I'll get super ambitious. I'll write out, okay, I want to grow all these flowers this year, but I never actually start a plan of what seeds to start, where I want to lay those flowers out, whether the lighting requirements would, adequately fulfill those needs of the plants. And then May, June rolls around. It's hot outside. I can only work early in the mornings or late in the evenings, and it's not an ideal time once it gets in the heat of the summer to be starting, like younger plants. And oftentimes, if you especially cut flowers in particular, because that's where kind of my specialty is, if you don't start the seeds early, you often won't get a flower. Like it'll be too late in the season, at least in our zone. That also is dependent on your USDA hardiness zone, like when your first frost is and all that stuff. So let's just talk about goals for a second. Um, Personally, I grow cut flowers because I really enjoy working with the soil, and I like the beauty of flowers. I love sitting out in the garden, whether on a swing or on my bench with my coffee early in the mornings, watching the birds and watching the flowers wake up and the sun rising. I feel like it's just so pretty to watch everything come to life in the mornings. And I have a bird feeder out here, and a hummingbird feeder, and I'll sit drinking my coffee in the mornings, and the hummingbirds will come in, and the butterflies, and it's kind of, it's almost like more of a sanctuary in that sense. But then I also love the cut flowers to surprise my friends with on their birthdays, or I work at a local nursery greenhouse. A couple of times I've cut flowers to bring them in and just set them on the table. And there's a woman that comes up during the season also, and she occasionally will just bring in a vase of flowers and leave it there. She'll bring it on Saturday sometimes, and it's so lovely to see how many customers see that and they're like, oh, like how beautiful. Flowers, at least to a lot of people, represent beauty and complexity and just such intricate details. They're all different. Like biodiversity with flowers is just enormous. There's something so special and delicate about it. And so, being able to create an arrangement with stuff that I personally have grown, it's just fun to me. So that's why I grow flowers. I like being able to have different shapes and textures and colors, dark leaves and light leaves. And I don't know if you're familiar with onion blooms, but when an onion blooms, most people don't really know. It kind of looks like a bloom of a chive almost. It has a long stem, and at the top of the head, a lot of little clusters of flowers. And most people don't really use these in arrangements. They have a really long vase life. Ask me how I know. And the bloom is white and doesn't have that much of a scent. It certainly doesn't smell like onions. And it's really nice to kind of add height and dimension to a bouquet or a vase of flowers. So unique things like that I've kind of picked up over time, and it just kind of helps add an extra flair to arranging. And the kind of purpose of saying that is that you can kind of unleash your creativity with it a little bit. Like not everyone is going to create the same bouquet of flowers. These are just tulips I cut. Some people like cutting the leaves off. Now I don't, as a general rule of thumb, you don't want any leaves in the water. because just in a couple days time, especially if you have a vase somewhere where sunlight will hit it, the water will kind of it'll kind of get a little slimy around the leaves. So it is a good idea to take those off if they're going to be in contact with the water. But for short term like this, I really enjoy the look of the leaves. I think it adds kind of a different look to the flowers. Some people will arrange this completely differently, although it's just 4 simple tulip flowers. Some people would not even grow pink tulips. They might choose red or yellow or parrot tulips, which have kind of a ruffled edge on the sides of the petal. There's endless combinations, and that's another really kind of unique thing about gardens, is that they're so personal to each person. But kind of coming back to where we were supposed to be. It was a nice little tangent there. Your garden needs to be your haven. If you're serious about gardening and really want to create this space, it all comes down to having a plan and having a purpose. You need to know what you want to grow and kind of start setting almost checkpoints or levels of, okay, it's March or it's 3rd week in March. I need to start these seeds if I want to grow these plants in the main season. Or evaluate your space, your location. Does it get full sun? Do you get part sun, part shade? Is it wet soil? Are you growing in container boxes or in like different containers that may not have as much drainage or may have too much drainage? Are you growing bulbs that need to have more drainage? Or are you growing like zinnias, which need a lot of water to kind of get them started? There's a lot of different things to consider. So planning your garden is going to be extremely important for your long-term success. I could be a lot further along by now if I had actually sat down and planned out my garden in the beginning of the year with what I wanted to accomplish and what flowers I wanted to grow that season, rather than just, you know, going through Lowe's and being like, oh, this is pretty, and picking up a seed packet and then forgetting about it for 2 months and then being like, oh, I was going to grow those, and then it's too late to start them. That's at least my tendencies, not everyone's. But another kind of nice way to do that is to plan out your space, plan exactly each box and what varieties you want to put in each. This will help you kind of get a good idea, a visual, if you will, of whether you want to align colors together, and if you're going to do cut flowers, if you're aligning colors together, or you know, height. You want your garden to be a space you can walk in and enjoy the beauty of it, as well as being able to cut your arrangements and put them together. So that's at least my little 2 cents on it. Kind of to conclude, your garden needs to be your haven, or if that's one of your goals, and it may not be everyone's goal, but for me personally, I see huge, tremendous value in it, and I think that it would be extremely beneficial for most people to have a space like in their garden that they can go and just enjoy to be in. Enjoy the beauty of it. The hummingbirds, the butterflies, even the praying mantises. You know, the all-encompassing everything that works together in a garden that fits together to make it as beautiful as it is. So with that, it needs planning. So a good way to some people, it hasn't worked that well for me personally, but that's just kind of how I roll. Some people will even get a calendar app, so it's like you can put in different dates, and there's probably a whole bunch of them. I don't know any specifics off the top of my head, but you can put in like a certain date, so it'll give you an alert, you know, like March 12th or March 23rd, you know, start snapdragon seeds or start zinnia seeds, and that way it kind of keeps you on track, so you can see like what seeds are upcoming, if you need to plan to buy soil, or, you know, have grow lights set up, or a germination mat, whatever you need for those seeds. So planning is going to be super important. And if you enjoyed this video, this is Life in the Country USA. We do all different kinds, from DIY projects to cows to gardening. Gardening is a little bit more my specialty. But we want to kind of help you along the journey teach you, how to grow, whether it's cut flowers or vegetables or soil. We want to help you along that process. So we have a TikTok and a blog and of course our YouTube. So check us out there, and happy gardening.